Okay, well, it's almost 8:05. So welcome everybody. It's great to see a lot of people dialing in for this. I am really excited about tonight's talk. It was there was a whole slew of records last summer, but this was one that really caught my eye. I just thought it was so under the radar and so impressive, and a very stiff and very well respected record. And these guys came along totally under the radar, and well, that's the basis of this talk. So I'll hand over to Sasha Chepelin and Ali Masson. If you've got any questions, just pop them in the chat window, and Sasha and Ali will pick those up as and when, and if they do miss any, then me or Sean will perhaps moderate at the end. So thank you very much for dialing in, and a very big thank you to Sasha and Ali. Over to you guys.
Hello. Okay. Yeah, so if we're sounding a bit harsh to anyone on the microphone, please let us know, because we had a few issues on our preview call, but hopefully it's okay now. Yeah, I'm Sasha, this is Ali. We're going to talk you through our wee project that we had last summer. Yeah, we're both a wee bit nervous, so give us some time. If you ever want to come off mute and just kind of cheer or laugh, that'd be brilliant. Otherwise, we'll probably just talk to our screen for the next however long. Yeah. So we've got two monitors up, so we should be able to click this through now. So just starting a little bit about ourselves. We're both orienteers. For those of you who don't know what orienteering is, it's a bit like hill running, except you can't get away with not reading a map. We've both, I guess we've known each other since for a while. We've both sort of done orienteering since we were pretty young, so we've been like competing against each other since we were about 10, I guess. Sasha's pretty good at it. He normally does pretty well. And yeah, then we both went to Edinburgh Uni. When was that? About 5 years ago? Yeah. And then so we were sort of fairly competitive in orienteering then. And I guess sort of we started doing more and more hill running as we sort of went through uni. Yeah, there's not many forest options in Edinburgh, so I think most orienteers kind of start drifting towards hill running as their main form of training when you arrive here. I guess in terms of how much fun they are, they're probably similar, but for very different reasons. But obviously, when you've got the Pentlands on your back door, there's not going to be too much stopping you from going quite often. Yeah. And then I guess we joined Carnethy like a year and a half ago Sasha before he graduated and me just after I graduated. And then I guess, yeah, in the last 2 years, we've done a fair few hill races. I've done, in terms of like longer stuff that we'd done before, I sort of had done mountain marathons, but neither of us had done like a really long round or anything before. Yeah, I guess I took a slightly different route. I've only ever done one mountain marathon, and that was a DNF with my brother at the final lamb. It was a good one though. Yeah, it was good. I got a bit put off maybe, but yeah, I certainly still enjoyed the longer stuff. I guess I just enjoy the longer stuff where you're able to move a bit quicker maybe. Yeah, well, I was gonna say something else. I think in terms of back home, so you're from Surrey. Yeah, I'm from down deep south-ish, yeah, near Dorking. But I live like on near Box Hill, so I've always had some hill to go up, Box Hill is a very good hill. I'm a big fan of it. For anyone that doesn't know, I recommend having a look at Ali's Strava from the first lockdown, because some of the runs were a little bit crazy, and obviously pointing to this kind of thing that we did eventually. I'm from Aberdeen originally, ran for Cosmic Hill Bashes quite proudly for a few years. So there was that kind of, yeah, background as well, but mostly as the pictures would kind of, yeah, give away, we're both orienteers at heart, I guess. Yeah, should we move on?
Yeah, so
why we decided to do this particular round, I guess, is because
I guess we can finish on the final day before lockdown. We did quite a cool run.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was a big skyline. What was it?
Yeah, so we I can't remember. Can't have been that good. We've kind of had a few runs that we wanted to do before our time at Edinburgh was up, but now that we're here, I guess that doesn't really make sense. But the final one we wanted to do was Seven Hills and Skyline together. So I think probably quite a few of the Carnethy runners have done it at some point. It kind of makes sense, I guess, on the map. But I guess it was on the 22nd of March, and most people probably saw lockdown coming. Incidentally, it was the last time we probably ran together for quite a long time.
Yeah, I headed off to my family.
But thanks for everyone, for you two for switching on your cameras, by the way. Yeah, I think we finished on quite a good note. I remember we both felt really well for the full like 5-6 hours or something, and I think that maybe planted a bit of a seed. Obviously the summer was already approaching, and with not too much on the calendar and things beginning to get cancelled, we kind of just hunkered down for lockdown, and Ali trained a lot more than I did. I kind of hit a bit of a wall. I think I realized I needed a bit of a routine in order to get out the door. Whereas Ali was working the full time, so maybe that helped, I guess, with your Box Hill runs.
Yeah, I had good routine in lockdown, I guess. It was just very much like work and then run for 90 minutes to 2 hours pretty much every day, which worked like nicely. I think it's the most routine I've ever had in my life. Yeah, I guess. And then I read Johnny Muir's book, The Mountains Are Cooling, and in that it touches upon I think it has a lot of the history of Scottish hill running, and the Munro 24-hour record came up in that. I think that probably helped with thinking. I kind of had remembered talking about it to Sasha before, and then so I was kind of like had a look at it, and it was like, oh, I mean, it's quite obvious from like looking at this chart, like Jim took like 22 hours. And then if you go look at like the map of the Cairngorms, it's like, oh, he's got like 2 hours there, and there's quite a few Munros like quite nearby. So it didn't really take a genius to see that maybe that record could maybe be broken.
Yeah.
And yeah, then
funnily enough, that the closest Munro to Jim's round, I think we didn't even end up doing because it was Brary. But anyway, we'll get to that. Yeah, at the same time that Ali was reading the book, I think I was up in Aberdeen with my mum, and probably quite bored because I was going through all the long distance routes and stuff, as I guess a few people were doing, and had the exact same thought. It's like, I think anyone who'd see that route, including Jim, knew that those editions were there for the taking, essentially, and it was maybe just a matter of time until someone decided to try it. Granted, it's not as extravagant as the Glen Shiel rounds or the Lochaber rounds, but being from Aberdeen myself, and Ali's been up in the Cairngorms quite a few times, I think we weren't too fussed about a potentially long round.
Yeah, I think it maybe suited us. Well, not that it suited me too well in the end. The spoilers on this history chart, but I think like we thought maybe longer and not as hilly would maybe not be too bad for us.
Yeah,
because yeah, as you can see, like the ones in Lochaber, Glen Shiel are like a lot hillier than Jim's Cairngorm round, which was, I guess it was kind of groundbreaking when he did it, I guess, somewhere different to anywhere else to where anyone had tried before.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. So at this point, we had a third guy in who was quite keen. He'd been at home for a year, Tim Morgan. I don't know if he's here, but
Timbo.
He's always kind of been part of these longer runs that we've been doing as well, and we were hoping he'd join it for us, but we kind of recognized this would be tricky because he had nowhere to base himself in Edinburgh, especially during a pandemic. So I think to be honest, I think he would have been keen to come and maybe give it a go, but the fact that he couldn't make the recce's probably meant that he didn't want to get too involved. But yeah, I think eventually we kind of put a few dates in the diary and realized we had to we couldn't get away with not wrecking all the hills, so we decided to pick some key areas. I think that's the next slide, is it? I hope I'm not missing.
I don't know what the next one is. Yeah, picking the route, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's true, to be fair. So yeah, this is essentially a copy and paste from Jim's route. I can't actually think of any details except for just this final bit that we did differently. I think actually
we did
this one bit. Yeah,
we did, and we did well, you did Aosta and Cairngorms. We did that the other way around.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
We did it the other way around, pretty much just to be different.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so Jim, start and finish are always here. Jim went the other way around, for anyone that doesn't know, because he was going this way around from Carn back here, or back, he went straight over. Oh no, he went up this first re-entrant where we kind of recce'd and found a path down, though. You'll see that on the next slide. Then anyway, Jim carried around and came back from Ben Briek here, and as you saw, he did that with 2 hours to spare. But he kind of made the decision that he'd had enough by that point, and by that point he'd also got the record. So it was these two additions, as well as Breirich, which were kind of the most tempting ones.
Oh yeah, we'd originally planned to have Breirich in there, as a 33,
but as we kind of neared, I guess we'll mention that in a sec. But yeah, we did these two recce's. They were
so we went after, well, sort of trained from whatever through lockdown, and then when things opened up, I got back up to Edinburgh, and we did these two. These are our two main recce's. The first one with Will and Tam, with our other flatmate Will Rigg and Tam Wilson. That's the 29k one there. So that was horrible.
For anyone that knows the area, like Glenshee, you kind of don't really think they're Munros because you park so high up. That's about 650 meters, and this run barely has any climb for whatever 6 Munros. For some reason, Will and Tam decided to intermittently get their dicks out of there and completely drop us, and probably completely ruin any motivation that we had. I think by the end of the run, we thought that they should be doing the round, but
they were flying that day.
But if it was any consolation, we realized just how slow the kind of average pace was required for our round to be completed in 24 hours. So I think that run was 3 hours, but I think at the pace that we ended up doing the full round, we could have done it in 4.5 hours or something like that sort of pace difference. So that was nice. The second recce was a lot nicer. We ran with Andrew Barr. He knows how to pace a run. Just joking, of course. But yeah, we went to check out these two key descents. So this is an absolutely horrible one down Carnethy. We kind of just wanted to ensure that the map wasn't lying to us and that there was in fact a way through the crags here. This is obviously the normal way up, but then the other bit here, which kind of the Strava heat map seemed to suggest that there was some kind of path.
A bit of a trod down from that, that was like quite a relief, because I think it was like it's basically the bridge between that leg is like the bridge between the Cairngorms and kind of Glenshee
area,
Glenshee, and it took Jim like over 2 hours, I think, and it was a bit like, oh, maybe that's not that nice, but it was fine. So got a nice trod there.
The other thing we saw just at White Bridge before we finished that run was the way up Carn back, and
that was pretty bad.
We'd even thought about doing it on the recce, but we couldn't really bring ourselves to it. I think by the time that this second recce was done, between us covered most of the hills, but there was, I think it has to be said, the night leg that that kind of went through the worst of Glenshee's kind of West Munros. Neither of us had done.
They're like really kind of boggy.
And that kind of probably raises alarm bells for most people. But I think we knew that if we'd done them, we would have probably been disheartened quite a lot, and we decided as long as we had good navigators with us, then hopefully we'd get through okay. But anyway, I think the one thing that this taught us was that I think until this point we wanted to maybe just push through every changeover. We kind of broke it into 5 legs, and we thought, yeah, like we'll be able to just keep moving and eating even if we have to change a pair of shoes.
Well, that was because I think initially when we planned the schedule, it's like, and we had Breivik in it, we had it like no breaks at all.
Yeah.
And then we took Breivik off and it got rid of like an hour. So it was like, okay, now we can add some breaks into our
and in hindsight, I think it was a massive decision in hindsight. And I think we put in a bit of time towards the end as well, which was quite good. But yeah, it meant that at 4 key points in the 24 hours, we could kind of take a 5 or 10 minute break and sit down without feeling too bad that we were losing time, because it was actually in the schedule then. So yeah, I guess in terms of recce's, we found some key lines. We discovered the kind of pace we were able to do without being too nervous, and yeah, we realized that breaks were probably going to be essential. Here's some lovely pictures that Andrew took, and he ended up being our guide our guide through the 9 leg as well, so he was quite a big stake in it.
What's the next? Oh yeah,
so yeah, now Ali should probably talk through the schedule.
There's not too much to say. It took me a while. I like cherished it quite a lot. It was quite like a nice side project and like on the weekend to just during lockdown I sort of was adding to it, and it was good. I feel like those notes at the end, they're like a load of rubbish, to be honest. It's got, I think, like the particularly good columns that I would highlight are probably the Walk Highlands review. You can't quite see it; it just says Highlands, and then the meaning of Sasha added that meaning of the hill tab column as well. They're probably the ones to pick up on.
Yeah, I think a bit of the local culture is important. But yeah, as we mentioned, these kind of West Glen Shee hills, you can see like, 2s out of 5 ones. You can probably kind of tell what kind of condition they are in. For anyone that doesn't know, Ali works in audit.
I spend a lot of time on spreadsheets, but yeah, my skills can still probably be improved if anyone's got any tips.
Yeah, we spent in the lead up, I guess we spent quite a while on that, and I think having this probably boosted our confidence a little bit. At least it felt like we were a little bit organized, whereas maybe if we were doing it properly, we would have recce'd a bit more or taken a bit more time to plan. But yeah, I think this kind of thing definitely made a difference.
Yeah, we used the recce's we'd done, and because Jim had done it the other way around, so we did like look at his splits, but couldn't use them that accurately.
Yeah, because they were the other way.
And then I think I mean, the main thing I guess was that we left it so the last leg because there's like really Munro dense at the end, like there's like 9 Munros in the last, like, because all of these legs are like roughly, I don't know, 30-40k or something.
Yeah. And
then probably less on some of them, but then it's like 40k that leg 5, and there's like 9. How many Munros are there? Yeah, it's like 22 to 32.
Yeah.
A lot of Munros at the end. Yeah. So we like kind of made sure to plan that there was a lot of like that we, even if we're really sort of dying, that it was like we could walk through and hopefully would survive under the 24. But
yeah, so then anyway, like in terms of weekends where we were going to do it, I think we'd already agreed on a Saturday morning start. I think I was quite strongly confident that I wanted like a good night of sleep behind me and like as much sleep as possible, and then to finish on Sunday morning, I guess is whereas if you start in the evening, you have to kind of run for a full day without an extra sleep. And we were lucky in that the first weekend that we chose, that I think we'd prefer as well, ended up being really good weather. So I think by the Monday we saw the weather was pretty decent. Tuesday we decided to go up to Aberdeen, stay with my mum for a few days. We're still working from home, so there was no problem there. But yeah, it just meant that we were in a slightly better position And by this point, I think at least 2 or 3 people per leg had all agreed to show up on
yeah,
various
I guess
points.
we sort of sent out like about 2 weeks before. We just sent out to mainly our friends in Edinburgh, all like mainly from uni, I guess, and yeah, pretty much all from uni, and then just sent around who would be interested, and we got a
really good response for the time.
Yeah,
it was, I mean, it was one of those cases where like I don't think we would have even started had we not had at least one person per leg, and we ended up with 2 and quite often 3 people on each leg. So that was really, really nice to see. I guess, should we crack on with the round?
Yeah, should we share the Strava trace?
The food, we could talk about that for quite a while, but we had
we don't have too much to say.
There was a lot of it.
We had way too much.
My mum cooked a lot of it.
We had a lot of like pizza. What do we have? Pizza, some wraps, and then sugary stuff, boost bars. Big fan of them.
From that, I guess it looks like we only ate sugar, but we decided to dip into the starchy stuff as well.
Those street waffles weren't that good, actually. They were a bit chewy.
In hindsight, I made my mum, I asked my mum if she could make us pizza with a really thick base. I genuinely don't know what I was thinking. Like,
it was okay.
It was not. It was like eating plain bread with like a tiny bit of tomato sauce.
The first couple of slices were okay.
That was a
the third
big mistake from me. I was choking that down. Definitely got my just desserts. So
should we share the
Strava?
So I'm just going to share the Sasha's Strava route so you can like follow it as we go around, and maybe you'll have a bit more of an idea of what we're talking about.
For anyone who knows the area, maybe a bit.
And I guess use that to apologize for when I get like all the Munro pronunciations wrong. Sasha's actually did a pretty good job of like learning most of them, but for some of them I feel like it's so embedded in my head, like the wrong way of saying it, that I'm definitely going to say it wrong.
We might, to be honest, we might just purposely say them all wrong and see if anyone pipes up. So we met kind of Saturday morning at I don't even remember the name of the bridge.
White Bridge? No, that's it. No, I can't remember either.
Anyone? No.
A
bridge just on the west end of Balmoral Estate.
Sasha had a bad night's sleep.
Oh shit! I do need to talk about that actually. I guess anyone who kind of has a big event happening the next day will probably know the feeling where you're kind of, I don't know, you kind of do everything right. You get to bed at a good time, you start drifting off, and then you get excited that you're drifting off, and you're like, yes, good, I'm drifting off, and the heart rate starts climbing up, and then suddenly you're awake again. And I kind of this kind of cycle where I have to read a few more pages of my book, or I don't know, kind of start literally counting sheep jumping over fences, trying all the tricks in the book, and it never really got to anywhere. And before I knew it, it was 6 a.m. and it's kind of easy to forget, but I was telling Ali that morning, I'm not going to do this. Like, there's no way I can be up for 48 hours without any sleep. Like, I'm normally okay with running a little bit sleep. What's the word? Sleep deprived, but like, I didn't think 48 hours was justifiable. Like, I wouldn't be able to lie down for half an hour at any point. So, but I think this is like a good example where Ali really kind of did what he needed to turn that mood around. I'm quite spoiled in that.
I really didn't do too much. I pretty much just said you'll be fine, and then that was it.
He's for anyone that doesn't know, Ali's also very modest, but I guess I started that first leg maybe trying to be as confident as I could be, but I kind of had it in my head that by the evening I'd probably just want to curl up in a ball and fall asleep wherever I was. So I think for the first few legs I think this probably helped in hindsight, but I never had it in my head that I'd do more than one more leg kind of ahead of myself, and then by that time the leg was finished there was so much adrenaline in my system that I'd be like, okay, one more leg, one more leg.
Yeah, probably a good way of looking at it anyway.
Yeah.
He was pretty tired though. He did look pretty tired. He was quite quiet for a lot of the first,
Yeah.
I don't know how many hours. But do you think you got actually no sleep at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was like a 10-minute window where I might have got some shut eye, but then there was probably a dream where I realized I was sleeping, and that kind of jolted me awake again. But
yeah. Anyway, thanks to Mark for saying Old Brigady is that
yeah,
the bridge?
yeah, and Invercold is what we were calling it.
Yeah, Invercold. Yeah.
Felix said, yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, that's Lochnagar pointing up in the background, I think. So
yeah. So on leg one, we had the two guys on the left there, Ewan and Will. Will's our other flatmate, as said. He's here tonight. Thanks for coming. And yeah, so it was quite hot actually on that at the beginning of that, and then it was like fairly quick because it's quite a big run out.
Yeah.
To the first hill, then and yeah, well the funny, I think the best on the first Munro actually we were already 20 minutes ahead of schedule.
I think I noticed this because I was feeling so sick from like my lack of sleep, but I kind of felt like, you know, like I was just without sounding too bad, I was just going to let you lead the way, and I was just going to allow you to go whatever pace you wanted, because in my head I was doing this, you know, if it was just me I wouldn't have started. Obviously all the supporters had turned up as well, so but since you were still doing it, I thought I could at least act as a bit of a support runner. And the fact that we got to the first top in like sub 20 minutes under the schedule, and I didn't even feel too bad. I thought it was kind of like beginning to creep in that maybe I could carry on a little bit longer. Ali, Will and Ewan were great support. I think we hadn't seen Ewan in quite a few months, so it was really nice chatting to him.
Good to catch up. And then then the funny thing on that leg was when we got to the top, after we got to the top of Ben Ann, it was just coming down like a cross, and then suddenly like Ewan and Will sort of started sprinting like down away from us. We weren't really sure what they were doing, and then they shouted at us that they were like filling up water because they were worried that we were going to not have a stream on like the next stretch.
This was still with like 2 liters of water to
go. They had quite a lot of water already. And they just sort of like bombed it down this valley, and me and Sasha just sort of carried on going. And then it was like, oh, they've gone quite far down the valley now, as we could like see it. It's like, oh, they're quite far away. And then sort of as we were crossing, it took a long time before they sort of caught back up. And in that time we crossed over about like three or four like nice looking streams
that they could have that we drank from, and they could have filled the bottles up from. But in the end we didn't actually see Ewan for the next like 3 hours. Because he ended up
we saw him
but we never ran with him, did we?
I think he caught up and then was like, I'm done.
He hit the wall and had to kind of cut the corner, which then kind of turned into something even bigger. But I think my favorite moment from that first leg, we were on the second top there, Benaverde, and there was a nice walker asking us what we were up to and where we were going next, and I think we were both a little bit still I just focused on what was ahead, and Ali blurted out, we're going to Benaverde next. And I think we couldn't have seen like bigger punters at the time, because we left this guy absolutely stunned.
It was confused.
At the top. And then 10 minutes later, Ali realized what he'd said.
No, I think I shouted back at him. But
Will caught us back up, and we were running quite well. There's a horrible marshy
stretch to Benbrio,
marshy section.
It's like peat hag, lots of peat hags and that sort of thing, but not too bad, I guess. It was over like fairly quickly. I
felt like the sun was kind of reflecting off it quite a lot. It was getting quite warm, probably about 20 degrees that day at the height of the sun. Ewan cut from the second top to the fourth top, and but like without, I think, us realizing, we starting getting a bit more worried and distracted about where Ewan might be.
Yeah, we had no idea where he was.
And suddenly it turned into,
we try and call him
a bit.
We'll try and call him.
With no response, and suddenly we thought maybe we're in a bit of a rescue mission here, but thankfully that by the time we got to the top, he was there waiting for us.
Yeah, he had his layers on.
Yeah, that was pretty good to see, and thankful that we didn't have to kind of divert off just yet.
I think, so then it was like a steep descent from down into our next like support valley, where we met the other guys.
Yeah, so the next 3 guys, they're all quite young guns from hailing from Dalkeith Road, various places in Britain before that. But it was really nice that they all kind of stepped up. They're all kind of they're well equipped in the hills, but I don't know why. I didn't expect them to be willing to do such a big leg, carrying all our stuff. And actually, they probably had the biggest run out of all of them. I think they had to carry kit out something like 12k up the valley to meet us at a specific time. And we asked them to come an hour early as well, because we thought we might be up, and in the end we were as well. And they were there waiting for us in the valley, so that was really sweet of them. Eddie's not in this photo because he's taking it, but he's there as well.
They're very entertaining lads to run with as well. They've got a lot of lots of energy. It says the shopping trolley because they were constantly like trying to feed us and like, do you want anything from the trolley? I feel like Eddie must have said that like 20 times.
For anyone that knows them, they're quite rowdy, and they're kind of always making some kind of noise or blurting out almost
lots of random noises.
Just I think it was a really good distraction at the time, and we think we both look really sleepy there, but that's definitely how it felt. I don't remember too much from that leg, just because I think the big
like that I think that leg, everything in that first 2 legs seemed to go pretty smoothly. I think I remember feeling like really excited the whole sort of time. On that leg, the first climb was horrible actually. If anyone's looking at the map, up that, I don't know how you say it. What is that, Ben Vane? I always said it Meadhoyne, that first one. I don't know how it's not, or M Headhoyne. But that's a nasty climb. But other than that, and then I guess the descent off McDoey, that was okay, wasn't it?
I think this was something we'd done the previous year. Quite luckily, just by chance, we'd done that descent, so we knew. We did it wrong that first time, and we knew we cut down a bit too early, and we knew that if we waited a bit, there would be a lot more grass and runnable paths. So that's what we had in the end. I think one of my best memories from that leg was coming down by McDoey. Somehow, I don't even know how he got signal, to be honest, but Tom was on the phone to his landlords, absolutely raging that their washing machine wasn't arriving today because he had his girlfriend waiting for it. And I think it was just it was a bit like, I guess,
a bit bizarre.
The Cairngorms can feel quite isolated at times, and when your friend's shouting at his landlord, wondering where his washing machine is, I think it makes it feel a lot less lonely than it maybe was. It was also a sunny day, and there were lots of people out, so that was nice. But that was quite a funny moment. We went up Carnethy, and we knew that was quite a long grind. From the run the previous year as well. And then as soon as we were off it, down the way that we'd recce'd.
Into Larry Grew.
And that was
that was nice. I think whole of those 2 legs sort of seemed to go pretty quickly for me anyway. I was sort of having brief conversations with Sasha, checking that he's like not actually going to quit. He kept on. I think you were still sort of said towards the end of leg 2 that he was still sort of like, I'm probably just gonna like see this leg out, and then see it till Whitebridge, I think is what he was saying, and then he was gonna pack it in, but never believed it.
Whitebridge was the kind of like 9-10 p.m. cut off where it was starting to get dark, and I just assumed that I'd be falling asleep by then. Yeah, I think by this point as well, we were in a really good routine of eating. I think it was every like,
yeah, we were eating a lot. I remember being pretty full.
yeah, every 45 minutes to an hour. I don't know about you, but I went through like a proper cycle of getting a little bit hungry, but still kind of having to force yourself to eating, which would take quite a long time. I often have to drink at the same time in order to get it down, especially that pizza.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah, you're a slow eater on runs.
yeah, yeah, it wasn't good. And then like just being cold for the next 20 minutes. In the same way that you kind of feel after a race, that you get a bit shivery, out of energy, and then the food's digested and you get that next kind of high, and you go and overtake Ali again, and and then he overtakes you half an hour later when you need to eat again. So yeah, we were
so then we met Anna, Tam and Dan in the lower group. We had a little break there, that was nice.
Yeah,
as well.
Lots of flat Coke was drunk. That was really nice. Yeah. I think that was mentioned at the previous talk as well. I completely agree there that flat Coke is probably the best nectar you can have in the long run. Yeah, so then we're up to 3 classic Munros.
Yeah, those ones ticked off all right, didn't they?
Yeah, I think this was probably the steepest part of the run. So I remember it was like 1,000 meters of climb in just about 5K or something. Out of the lower group. It did feel like a lot.
Yeah, I guess it's because it's a big climb up to Devil's Point, and then it's still quite a reasonable climb up to.
Yeah, because Devil's Point's only about 1,000, and then Cairngorms is 4th or 5th highest, so it's like 1,300 or something. So another 400 meters up from the col.
Yeah, and then it was a bit claggy on. Was that Angel's Peak? That's the. How do you say that one? Score and looking, Wayne.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Thanks. Bit claggy there, so we had to be careful with our lineup to monitor more. Tam kind of bottled it a bit. He was like had the map, and suddenly he was at the back of the pack trying to navigate us from there somehow. But,
Tam wasn't the most useful of this, but he had one job. He had lead us through the clag, and he decided to take the caboose of the train and guide us from there. He didn't even guide us. He didn't.
Yeah, but it was fine. We'd done it the week before, so we knew where we were going pretty well.
Yeah. If you're on this call, Tam, you were absolutely no help here.
He was with us though.
Yeah. Oh, there he is.
He's going to be raging.
Fake news.
He made this, to be fair, he got one of the only photos that we got on the legs.
Yeah, so nice photo.
Thanks for that, Tam. Yeah, I think I was going through this kind of pretty melancholy point as well with the clag, and it was kind of starting to get dark and colder because the sun was setting, and I think I realized it was like time to sack it in, because there was only like an hour or 2 left until White Bridge, and I was feeling completely spent. I think I'd probably left it too long between eating, just because we were climbing for so long, which to be honest would have been a good time to eat, but I guess we were gassing a little bit more and probably finding it hard to eat at this point.
Yeah, I guess we knew we had a big eater.
Yeah,
White Bridge waiting for us. So.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, like it kind of carried on quite well. I think the 3 supporters were really good at stuffing food down me.
Yeah. Dan played music actually. Dan had a speaker.
Yeah. That was lifting the mood when he
sometimes
when he wasn't playing
sad songs as well.
Yeah, when he wasn't playing heartbreaking songs, he was lifting the mood a bit. And yeah, I think this was the point that I guess we both realized that we were going to continue no matter what.
Yeah, I would say I noticed, I think on the last ascent, definitely Sasha seemed like something had changed, and he was definitely like, okay, I'm gonna do this now. And then when we got down to like the D at the bottom, I think we picked up pace pretty well as well.
Yeah,
we sort of all were moving pretty well. It felt like it might not have been that fast, but it felt fast at the time. And then yeah, we met the leg 4 runners at White Bridge, and then we'd had like a big meal waiting there, so we got that and had a decent break. And then that was just as like the night was setting in. It wasn't too, do you know?
Yeah,
It wasn't too dark when we got there.
Yeah, there's Whitebridge there on the left.
Yeah.
Ali doing a nice little strip show to keep everyone happy.
Yeah.
And moments later attracted about 10,000 midgies over to our
Oh yeah,
base.
it was midgie.
I've honestly never seen that many midgies in my life. I thought I'd had it bad before, but that was pretty bad. I guess we're all pretty salty and
Yeah, stinky.
tasty. Yeah, I think what was I going to say? Yeah, I guess the one thing putting me off was knowing that it was going to be pitch black soon, and we'd only, in order for me to drop out potentially in the night, I'd have to steal at least one support runner to come with me, and that would be then taking away from the kind of actual effort. But I think at this probably very moment we were chatting about that if that was required, then Andy or Felix or Gregor would happily come back with me, and I think Andy's mum had the camper van parked at Glenshee, so that was always a good bailout option if we needed it. And if anyone knows Andrew, he's got probably the most kit I've ever seen on a run before. So if either of us,
he's prepared.
If either of us began to hit the wall a bit, he'd be there and clothing us. And I think on this leg we probably changed kit about 100 times, depending on how.
Yeah, we were fussy on this leg.
Yeah.
Fussy, we were stealing people's food as well.
Oh yeah. So
it was those squares bars.
Yeah,
that Gregor had.
Mm-hmm.
Had a lot of them.
Yeah, so it got dark quite quickly. It was nice to catch up with all three of them.
Yeah, it was quite a big climb still from Whitebridge to the top of Carn back.
Yeah, so there's I think like a good hour there before we'd even got to the next
That was
top.
quite a heathery climb up that one.
Yeah, but then
this whole section was.
Yeah.
And then it was coming off Carn back that the start of my demise. For anyone that doesn't know by now, I didn't make it to the end. So coming off Carn back, I sort of like, I don't know what like the correct term is, I guess sort of like inverted my knee, or when you sort of like jar your knee and it kind of like buckles a bit. Or when not inverted, but like when it feels like you've kind of inverted it. I didn't really think that much of it. It's just sort of like when, I guess I would compare it to like when you sort of twist your ankle and then you're kind of like, oh, maybe I've done something bad, and then you carry on running and it's like, oh, it's fine. I think that was my initial feeling, was it'll be fine. And then, yeah, that leg was really like quite like tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like lots of peat hags and marsh and heather, and I guess that probably didn't really help. And then I think it didn't really bother me too much for a while. I just sort of noticed like my hamstring like nagging after that. And then I guess probably it was one of like maybe coming down, I think it was Carnethy. Coming down there, it was sort of like I was getting a bit detached. I probably wouldn't really like, I'm not like I wouldn't really have expected to be getting detached. Then it wasn't like they were going crazy fast, and it was a bit like, this isn't like looking amazing, but I'll keep going.
I think just to show like, I guess Ali's never really wanting to kick up a fuss. I for example never noticed he'd even done it at the time. He didn't say anything.
I was at the back when I did it. It was sneaky.
Yeah, but like you didn't even mention it, like, not to get anyone down at all.
I mentioned it at some point.
Yeah, at some point.
I think I said to you that my hamstring's a bit sore.
I think we both took a painkiller because my hip flexors were expectedly starting to tug as well, and then I just assumed that your hamstring was a similar kind of fatigue pain, and I thought, we're going to pop this painkiller and then think nothing else of it until the next day probably. But I guess
and then I think it was kind of worse on like the descent, which I guess because it was more like closer to the knee, so maybe like more impact on the descents, because obviously you would have thought hamstring climbing would be pretty bad too, but it didn't seem as bad on the climbs, because I think like Glas-to-Leeken is quite a steep climb, and I got to the top of that and it wasn't too bad. But then I think it's the one after that we had a discussion with Andrew about which way to go, wasn't it, on the top of Ansoka?
Yeah.
To Carnethy. God, the
Yeah, you nailed that.
pronunciations.
Yeah, that number 19. Yeah,
I think I wanted to go away from Sokath to Yowie. I wanted to go slightly hillier, but like more potentially more pathway. But Andrew was adamant. Well, he wasn't adamant. I mean, he was right that it would have been just quicker to go straighter, and it was like, yeah.
And he'd been there before as well, and these are the hills we didn't recce. So yeah, we had to put our trust in him. He had the map.
Yeah. Oh, we haven't mentioned them. We promised Gregor would say the best one of the good things on this leg was near the beginning was we saw well just Andrew just pointed over there, and he was quite excited, and he was like, "Oh, is that like white reindeer?" And we were all just kind of like not too sure, and then just maybe look like sheep, and then just hear like some barring. It's like, oh yeah, it's definitely.
So for the rest of the run, sheep. We were just completely bullying Andrew. No matter how upset we were still bullying Andrew about his misidentification.
Yeah, I do think there was like an article that we saw, like for some reason it popped up on like my Google like articles at one point about a white reindeer in the Cairngorms, so it does exist. But
yeah, also probably means Google's listening to you.
Yeah, that was before. That was up Carnback, I think, before. Yeah, can't remember. I remember it was a lot more quiet, I think, on this leg in general than on the other.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was a really rare kind of, I think, night for the Cairngorms. It was completely still in the valleys, and just kind of hearing our breath and stepping through the heather. It was pretty nice. The occasional grouse. I think one even came and basically smacked Felix.
Oh yeah, there were a lot of that.
Yeah,
actually,
probably actually woke it up. I remember. I think I was definitely feeling a bit sleepy, but probably no more than like how we would have felt even if I had slept the night before. I remember one really clear moment where we were coming into like a really small re-entrant, like probably just a 5 meter down and up. And we were standing at the top of it, and I thought, God, this valley is going to take us like half an hour to cross. And then you take 3 steps and you're at the bottom of it. And I just remember my mind was completely blown. And I was also quite happy that we didn't need to descend anymore, because we had quite a big climb to come. Yeah. But yeah, obviously, I think at this point, I'd have expected to definitely be holding us up. I always expected like Ali to be stronger, and I think I did notice even before he'd said anything that I was at the front with, I don't know, one of the support runners, and Ali was behind me. And
yeah, I think for a lot of that leg, I was sort of lagging. I think I was probably slowing everyone down a bit.
I wouldn't say that. I just noticeably that, like, yeah, for once I was consistently, I guess, at the front where I wasn't normally all the time.
And then anyway, when I got to almost to the top of Yowie, like the hamstring pain sort of had escalated. I guess it had been slowly getting worse on the descents, and then it sort of going up Yowie, it was like kind of having to go sideways a bit to we'd also like lost time on schedule, so I was pretty aware that I was keeping like quite close tabs of the schedule, and it was like I think we were sort of coming closer and closer to we were sort of losing time on every leg, and it was like, oh, this isn't great. And then I pretty much was having to walk sideways uphill, and then when it flattened off towards the top, it didn't get any better. So I was pretty like, this is quite an easy decision to not let ruin the whole project and tell Sasha to carry on. And it was good because, like, in a way, it was we'd sort of planned it to have 3 support runners on the night anyway, in case something happened to anyone. So it kind of worked perfectly that I dropped out, and then told Sasha I was not going to carry on, and then he was like, no, I don't want to go on. And then it was like, oh, Dad, you gotta go on. I'm not moving though. And then it was like, yep. And then so Felix kindly stayed back with me. I got some layers on, and we walked back. I think we had a good bit of chat and Sasha, Andrew and Gregor ran off. And then I walked back, missed like the last the
last two.
Yeah, Asda and I missed Asda and the Cairnwell there, and then that took a long time actually walking back, because it was got stiffened up straight away as soon as I started walking. It was like kind of painful, but yeah, no, me and Felix had a good chat, and then thankfully when I got there, I mean, we could sort of see like Sasha and the others like way ahead as well. You see the lights going up, the next, like the one over the road on Glenshee, and then it was like, cool, Sasha's obviously still doing fine. And then got to the road, and then Andrew and his mum Liz Barr said I could sleep on the floor of their camper van, which was much appreciated. And I slept there. I'll leave it take over to Sasha to finish it off.
I think, I guess we'd had that agreement, and that was everyone's first question, is like, what happens when if one of you hits the wall or injures themselves or decides to pull out. And I think after that night's sleep that I had, I just 100% assumed that if it was going to be one of us, it was going to be me. Ali's not one to like really injure himself that much. You're not one to get.
If I get injured, it's usually because I've fallen over.
But like usually it's in like the resulting weeks after, rather than like immediately, if you know what I mean. Like you're still able to kind of continue whatever you're doing. So I think that was quite a shock. And as I mentioned, like Ali's not one to complain. So I think when he did mention that his hamstring was bad, I guess it probably hit more than it would if I'd said it. I guess he would have just laughed if I, but I think we had a decent bit of an argument, because I was only really continuing because he was continuing at this point, and like he was the only reason I wanted to continue, because it was quite nice to run together, and I didn't really fancy not running with him. But equally, as Ali said, like the supporters were there, the schedule was still kind of running, and he really kind of forced me to just go before it was too late, not too dramatically. I think for a while, me, Andrew and Gregor, we were kind of quite quiet. I think Andrew did quite a good job of convincing me it was the right decision.
It must have been strange actually, like the bit where you were running afterwards,
because it was quiet before that, and like we kind of talked about it for a while, and I even had the cheek to question Andrew Barr's navigation at this point. I was like, because I'd done these hills.
Never do it. It's never worth it.
So quickly forgot. We also ran out of water, which wasn't a great time to do it. I remember having one of Gregor's gels, which he was very kind to donate, but I just needed some water with it, and I was trying to suck it out of our final bottle.
I think I took one of Gregor's jars just before I dropped out. So still taking his food.
Not that we
and I wasn't finishing it.
But I think the thing that really spurred me on as well at this point was knowing that Oleg, my brother, was waiting at the changeover, and I guess it was always going to be quite special to have him on the final leg, and he'd driven all the way from Malig to come and see us and meet us at something like 3 or 4 a.m. So that was obviously something you couldn't say no to. So I wasn't going to stop it whilst he was still there. We had a wee stop at Glenshee, saw Ali's lights heading towards us. Obviously they were gutted about what was happening. But I guess by now we'd decided it was right to continue. Oleg quickly got his shoes on, and we set off up Craigliacha just as it started to rain, and begin to question if you really should continue on, because I think up until this point it was quite easy just to look one step ahead to maybe even the next top or the next changeover, which was never too far away. But then this time there was kind of no ignoring that there was 40k to go and 11 Munros, and I just I'd been to them all, and I knew how uninspiring and they're not too bad, but
they're remote.
But at least those first 6, they're all quite muddy as well, and I think like yeah, it was raining. It was still dark. I think by this point I thought it would be light as well. That was a bit upsetting. I had no idea where the sun was. But yeah, we carried on. I had the cheek again to question no legs navigation off Glassmore, or even Carnethy, the next one. If anyone knows it, you have to do like a big right angle to get to Carnethy, and I think I wasn't too happy with this at the time. But I think that, yeah, the frustration probably stemmed from probably one of my biggest mistakes of the round was wearing shorts with no boxes on underneath, and
that's radical.
My manhood was absolutely horribly bruised at this point. It was dreadful, as if being kicked in the knackers continuously. And I think someone even donated one of their layers to me so I could stuff it down there and prop them up a bit. And I think at the same time I was also finally getting blisters, or something that resembled blisters at least. Body seemed to be kind of giving in a bit, and I think I was at that stage where I kind of had to put pressure on my hip flexor to stop it from tugging too much on the climbs. So yeah, I guess, yeah, I realized that the only thing that could stop now is a similar kind of situation where just some freak kind of ankle turn, or yeah, kind of pulling a muscle in the wrong way, which is probably quite easy at this point. But then eventually the sun did come out, the clouds parted. There was a really nice morning on the kind of Lochnagar plateau. It was, yeah, completely empty, as you can imagine. The reindeer are out, but yeah, there was kind of no ignoring that there were still 3 hours to go, and there was this kind of consistent guilt as well of like, I knew that like people would be there at the finish, but I think by this point I really didn't want that to happen, because in my head it was like, if I'd managed to put the shit night's sleep behind me, then at least I'd be able to finish it with Ali, or he'd be able to finish it himself. Yeah, there's not too much to say about these. I never learned to pronounce the 31st Munro.
Give it a go.
So Carnethy Vidik. I think the grim thing about these final 5 as well is that they start at about 1,000 meters and climb steadily 50 meters at a time. And I remember, like, you know, we were trying to chat as much as we could to take our mind off the fact that there's still quite a long way to go. But, you know, you can never, yeah, as we passed the kind of 21 hours mark and someone said 2 hours to go, that was never really a good thing. But at least we were, like, after quite a long time, we were back onto solid paths. There's quite a nice track around those 5. There's a cool plane crash to take your mind off it. And me and Gregor kind of had a look at that, because yeah, Gregor was doing over half the run, by the way, it needs to be said.
Gregor did 80k,
and whilst carrying all his own kit as well as kit for us. So
and yeah, that milk carton that you see in Gregor's hands went around with him as well. That was very trusty milk carton.
That went around the whole run, didn't it?
That was I think I put that in.
You're keen for that. But I think at this
milk
point,
cartons are good like handle for carrying. Use them for like marathon. It's always good. And they look good. I think they're a good aesthetic with the milk carton too.
But yeah, very, like, I think by this point it was broken. So that was the big guy,
wasn't it?
Couldn't exactly keep it or anything. But yeah, I guess like our expressions say it all here. Like, we're both feeling fairly similar. Whilst Oleg kind of ran laps around us, trying to keep the spirits high, which he's pretty good at. So yeah, but before we kind of knew it, we were at the top of Lochnagar, and I remember feeling really quite happy that all the climbs were done. But I think at this point I realized there was still quite a long way back to the bridge, and unluckily for us, it was probably the worst bit of terrain on the whole run. There was like a really horrible coarse granite boulder fields straight off the top, and knowing that we still had like 75 minutes to get back through, over half of which was through really rough terrain, it was suddenly like a kick up the arse that it wasn't quite over yet. And you know, I could I think I did put my leg down between some rocks and get quite badly scratched, and I realized how easily it would be to do something silly at this point. And yeah, I guess it turned into one of these kind of nightmare scenarios where you're trying to run down a hill and you're running through treacle because it was really boggy and marshy, and there's a big ginger guy called Oleg chasing you behind and you can't get away from him. But yeah, eventually we were back on the track, and I think that's with 4K to go or something, I finally relaxed and realized I'd be pretty bad if I injured myself now. So yeah, I think for the final 20 minutes I was actually enjoying it for once, and we were enough up on the schedule thanks to us like putting the Breriach amount of time into the final leg.
Yeah, you must have made back a lot of time on the
yeah, we kind of chucked 5-10 minutes on each section between those tops, so that made like a really big difference. And yeah, like before I knew it,
finished with loads of time.
yeah, before we knew it, we were finishing, and there were quite a few lovely people there to meet me, a lot of the supporters, some of the ground support as well, and Lucy, my girlfriend, who'd been really unfortunate at missing us out at the third changeover because we were too far up on our time, was there, and quite happy to see her, so that was really nice as well. And yeah, my mum and dad as well were waiting on the bridge, and they're not ones to really come to many races that I do, so that was really cool as well. But obviously at this point I just kind of wanted it to be packed up and done. Like I kind of had it in my head that either neither of us would do it or both of us would do it. So this kind of situation that we had for the final 5 hours was really uncomfortable in some ways, more than just uncomfortable due to the miles. Yeah,
job done, smashed it.
There's all the supporters except Tam.
Oh yeah, Tam's not in that photo.
Yeah, maybe Tam wants to pipe up where the hell he was at this point.
he shot up bottom of the gar to try and catch them for the last descent, I think, but completely missed them somehow.
You were just too far up ahead on schedule. I got there with like 40 minutes to go, but I hadn't expected you to be 50 minutes up on schedule.
That's what he says, but we reckon he just.
And then you didn't answer your phone.
Had the map out wrong. Had the map upside down. So yeah, that's about it, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, in those photos, I'm still wearing like a collection of other people's clothes because I've just got like a lift from, like, slept for a couple of hours and then a few hours and then got a lift to the bridge, and still haven't managed to retrieve my clothes yet. So I was sporting a few I think those are Andrew's clothes. So yeah,
they don't really look like they fit you, do they?
I think it's a pretty good look. Yeah, I guess that's about it. You got anything else?
Yeah, it's good.
Tired.
Yeah, I think
after that.
I was a bit guilty about that big group photo we got. Obviously, it's still during COVID, but I think at that time we probably lapsed a little bit. Yeah, but it was obviously really nice in order for the rules to allow us to have all our friends supporting. So it's really
big thanks to everyone again who supported. Could really was just a great team effort, as these things tend to be, I guess. Yeah, makes it, I guess, extra special. Just seeing your friends. I mean, because I'd say I absolutely even though I didn't finish it, I mean, I had such a good time, such good memories, and it was great.
And what was I going to say? I've completely lost it now. But
that's right. Should we try and answer some of these questions in the chat?
Yeah.
They've been firing in.
Yeah, I was just going to say, absolutely brilliant talk, really inspiring, and it's great having both of you do it at the same time. It's a really entertaining format. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
And if you want to go through the chat questions, and if anybody's got extra questions, put them in the chat window or come off mute. But no, that's great.
Good. Hope it was okay. I feel like we've been just dribbling on. At least it's been hopefully mildly entertaining. Where's the
and just while you're warming up for this, Nikki, thanks for the prompt. Sasha actually won the club sort of athletic achievement of the year for this. So the world famous Scored Law Trophy. So well done, Sasha.
So I guess should we go with that first? So I think the first question we've got is, how was it under the radar, and were your support crew sworn to secrecy? When did we go public on it? I don't think we swore them to secrecy, but I don't think anyone really knew about it until it didn't really go public until it was done, I guess.
Yeah, I guess
we told Jim Mann, actually.
Oh yeah, we had a really good chat with Jim before.
The night before, we sent Jim a message, and he was very supportive, which was nice. He said he offered his support. We said like, oh, we had and I think he was interested to know like what we were doing in terms of like changeover and of support runners and things.
He had a few like good little tips as well. Yeah, I think we didn't want to go down the tracker route. I think, well, for me at least,
it was a bit of a faff anyway to get tracked.
Extra organization. I didn't want to like be on there in case we wouldn't manage as well. I guess I wasn't that confident.
If I'd had a tracker as well, my mum would have been like
staying up all night.
Being like, why is not moving? Next question. What was the longest run any of you had done prior to this, including your support runners? What was yours?
For a few of our support runners starting off, it was definitely some of their longest runs.
Yeah, but I think it was definitely like Max, and I think it might have even been Will's.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that. But I think on every leg we had someone who'd done more, if that was any benefit.
I think the longest I'd done I'd done like 100k before around Surrey, but that was it. I mean, quite different, quite a lot flatter. That was just sort of so I could say I've done, just ticking off doing 100k before. But yeah, I don't know, what was yours?
I think time wise it was probably that first day of the Lamb that went on forever. Thanks, Angela. And in terms of distance, it was the Seven Hills Skyline that we did prior, and I guess that was the kind of confidence boost I'd got off it as well.
Well, it's a massive step from that. So
that's like 55k to Sasha's 155k.
Yeah, exactly.
Is extra Munros or 2B viable with the extra time? Or would it have been viable on the day? Or I think it might have. I think it was about.
I had a look at this for the first time just the other day, actually, and
I think it would have been very close.
It would have been over by like 15 minutes, and if we'd done Brerich, and I was very, very happy to see that.
Yeah,
obviously, I think it would have been knackering my head a bit if it had been more. In terms of doing the 33, I guess we thought about this. I think Phallus asked that. I'm not desperate to rush back there. I think we're both probably wanting to do something a bit in a slightly different location, maybe.
Yeah, I think this is sort of the main question that people seem to ask me, do I want to go back and do it? But I'm not really particularly fussed about going back. I don't know I guess we could talk about where like the record would go, like goes after this. We were sort of had said, we sort of were thinking it would be quite cool if it like went back to like another place, to like maybe the Glen Shield, Glen Affric area, because I think like Stephen Pike tried like a 31 Munro round there, so we were sort of thinking if like it would be possible to do like maybe like joint record of 32, or even push to 33 if someone could like go for that.
And potentially less
would be good. Potentially, I don't know if really fancy doing it. I don't think I probably could do it, so leave it to Sasha. But
I don't think I'd fancy it there either, because I think it would be someone who's really good at climbing, because I think if you measure it out, it potentially has a bit less distance, but probably quite a hefty chunk more climb. But if you're good with your walking poles and stuff like that, I think it's probably the prime place to go.
It'd be loads of climb, way more climb then.
Yeah, and it would be really nice to see if there's still a bit of a kind of rivalry between these areas, because it might be set in some people's heads that it's kind of Cairngorm now, but I think, yeah, it could definitely be done if you're the right kind of person.
Yeah, it's probably I don't know, the right person on the right day. Definitely go back and go to the Prairie there. Don't really fancy going back to those hills where I did the hamstring. They were nasty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. How long did it take for us to recover? Well, I took a long time. Oh, you go first.
I think I took far longer than I realized. I think I found it, I guess I found it really hard to kind of run just motivationally for the next few months, but I think that was also probably physically my body trying to tell me that I needed to properly rest it out. I think I'd gone for a run on the Tuesday after already with my girlfriend, obviously very, very slow, but
yeah, I kind of remember that.
And I think by the next Sunday, I think I'd gone for a Strava segment on Arthur's Seat and completely wiped myself out. But yeah, I think until probably November, I was feeling off for one way or another. That could all probably be linked back to that as well.
Yeah, I went to a physio, I don't know, a little while after. My hamstring was, well, I think it was torn, and but it wasn't as bad as it maybe could have been. It seemed like it could have been quite bad at first, and then after like a week, it was like, oh, it's actually, can get around, don't need crutches or anything. So I think I took like a month off running, and then I actually built back pretty quick after that. And it was like, okay, I did like, yeah.
When was your double skyline?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Is it October, November?
I don't know.
Yeah, but that was a few months after. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I remember it was quite quick after once I started running again. It was like, okay, it's not too bad, and I haven't had any problems with it since. That's been good. Fancy cracking any shorter records?
I think the next one I'd want to do, and not giving any kind of time frame or anything, but I think one that wouldn't have to be as close to 24 hours as possible potentially. So yeah, I think I'd enjoy something a bit more that just had a finish line in sight and no kind of time pressure with it. I think that added quite a big a big dollop of pressure on top of it to have that 24-hour cutoff. Yeah. What about you?
I don't know. Sure, I guess a bit. I don't know about going for records. I think the main sort of just one I like would be good to just tick off some of the big rounds. I guess they're shorter hopefully be shorter in time, maybe not. Yeah, that's probably what I'd want to do.
Do you maybe have a crack at a 100-meter world record as well?
Yeah, how short are we talking? And got a good mean sprint on me. Is there a Corbett 24-hour record?
That's a good question. That's
probably... Sasha, that's actually, I feel like Sasha would love a Corbett 24-hour record. It's exactly the kind of thing he would want to do.
Should definitely look it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seek it out.
What would we change regarding? Oh, sorry. You got that.
Yeah.
What would you change regarding food and drink on the event?
Yeah, you go.
I guess I don't want to bring it back to the pizzas.
What were you saying about my mom's pizzas?
Maybe just a bit more like, I think we had good variety. I think in general it was okay. But yeah, maybe slightly thinner pizzas.
Yeah, thinner pizzas. I think I took some of my brother's Tailwind stuff, and that seemed to really agree with me. But I didn't take enough for every single leg. So
I think a hot drink would have been good. I would have appreciated a hot drink. Didn't have any hot drinks. Like a tea at the changeover would have been nice.
Yeah. And I think flat Coke at the end of every leg would have been quite good as well.
Yeah.
I think we had it on most legs, but yeah. Also, I have to say that like I used so much of Gregor's food on that last leg as well, so that was probably fairly poor planning on that regard. I think literally ate his bag dry.
Yeah, I feel bad for the amount I ate as well. Why had there not been any attempts before Jim and yours this century? And we do know that somebody was going to try it. We found out afterwards that there was quite a sad story.
Yeah,
someone who's like had passed away. It was on. Someone had mentioned it to us that they'd passed, or that a guy had planned on doing it, had talked about doing it, but then had sadly passed away. I can't remember the name.
If anyone's got the name, it'd be
annoyingly.
really good to remember. I think we forgot
But yeah,
to double
other
check.
than that, I don't know why nobody really did it. I guess because it wasn't the place to be at the time.
Mm.
Yeah.
I guess it's quite a bit of a niche record, and
Yeah, I mean, there's not really been that many attempts in general.
yeah.
It's been the start of, yeah, I guess it was how the Ramses started, and it's got good history, but probably not that many people have actually tried to do it. Did we use GPS, or was it all map and compass? Is that, yeah. We used all map and compass. I think a couple of support people did maybe have a GPS. But yeah, it was all map and compass. We didn't use any.
Yeah. I think my brother had it in his watch, but as a backup, but then had a map out for the bits in the clag. And then as soon as the clag lifted, there wasn't any question about where we had to go next.
Yeah, we were lucky with the weather. We didn't really.
Yeah, it was
We
really
didn't really need to look at the maps that much, really.
yeah,
think.
just the night leg, and then a few bits on leg 3. Yeah. Salty coffee.
Yeah, that my mom's commented salty coffee because it's when I was like supporting a Bob Graham changeover, and then she made me a coffee. It was for a guy, like a family friend, and then my mom gave me coffee and I instantly spat it out because it was salty. Yeah, that's the story behind that one.
All right, we didn't know that about Phil Clark. That's interesting. I think the name, we should really find it. I promised myself I'd checked, but then completely forgot.
Yeah. Oh, Corbett's records popped up.
Yeah, there's a lot of chat about the Corbett's records. That's good.
Yanis Tridimus, Glen Leon area. Oh, cool. There's a Graham's record too.
Perfect. Cool. I think that's all the questions on the chat. At least if there's any more, we'd be happy to answer. But otherwise,
I think that's perfect. It's been really great hearing your story. Great format having both of you presenting. Thanks to obviously thanks to both of you for a great talk. Thanks to everybody that's dialed in, and thanks for all the questions. Just a reminder for everybody that we are doing this for charity, so I will repaste the charity link in the chat window just now. So if you could
yeah, I guess just a quick note on that, like it was probably quite an obvious choice for us in terms of the charity, because I think we're happy to admit that we're maybe taking a few risks. We always had support runners, of course, but
yeah,
like if everything were to go to crap, then we would have obviously had to call in some kind of support from Cairngorm. But yeah, with our local hills being the Pentlands and a few avalanches and accidents happening there recently, I think it's probably quite a good place for us to support.
Yeah, that's perfect. Brilliant. Okay. Well, thanks so much, guys, and we'll hopefully catch you guys around Edinburgh fairly soon once restrictions get a bit easier. And we've got one more talk in 2 weeks' time, and that's Kev Woods, who did a very impressive round of all the Munros. I think it was 2 winters ago. So that's our last talk in 2 weeks. So thanks very much, and it's going to be recorded thanks to Sean, and it'll be up on the website with the charity link. And so if you want to share this with anybody else, it should be up in the next few days. So thanks very much, guys. Have a nice evening.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys. That was amazing.